Hi everyone, this lesson is for Geometry CPM, Chapter 3. This is a review that goes along with your exit ticket number 5. So let's get started. First question is going to be about proportion. So solving the proportion, which means you have two ratios separated by an equal sign, and your job is to solve for x, isolate the x. So we're going to, if you have one term on the left and one term on the right, we're going to cross multiply. You're going to get 2 times 56 is equal to 7 times x plus 1. 2 times 56 is 112. Definitely use your calculator. Please use that. 7 times x and then 7 times 1. You're distributing both, so you have 7x plus 7. Subtracting 7 is going to give you 105 is equal to 7x. And solving for x, because I'm going to divide by 7 on both sides, is 15. Please make sure, because we are solving for x, this is a solution, that you are putting your answers in solution sets. Also, yes, you can check your work if you like, definitely. Also, watch out for variables on the denominator. As we discussed in class, those are your values that are your constraints, or the values that x cannot equal. Here's another proportion. This comes a little bit later in the lesson, but this is what this is. So we're going to cross multiply this one. We're going to get 35 times x minus 1 is equal to 5 times 4x plus 2. We're going to distribute in both sides. So we're going to get 35x minus 35 is equal to 20x plus 10. And so I'm going to subtract 20x from both sides. So that means this is going to move to the left. So subtracting 20x is going to give me on the left 15x equals, and on the right hand side I'm going to add 35 to both sides, and I'm going to get 15x equals 45. I'm going to divide both sides by 15, and I'm going to get x is equal to 3. Again, solution sets, answers, and then they divide out. Okay. What is the ratio of the first measurement to the second measurement? So we know that we have 11 inches here for the height of the textbook. The height of a book is 11 inches. And the height of a bookshelf is 3 feet, 3 inches. Now I noticed that this one's in inches, this one's in feet and inches. So for me, I'm going to move everything, because when you make a ratio, and this is what they want you to do, and you're comparing two things, anything, whatever you're comparing, you need to be in the same scale. So in this case, we're either going to change 11 to feet, which is going to be short of, and it's not as easy, but not impossible, or we're going to change everything to inches. So I'm choosing inches. So 11 inches 2, and now I'm going to do 3 feet. 3 feet is going to change to, because there's 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So if I have 3 feet, that's going to be 36 inches. Now I'm going to add on additional 3 inches. And so that's going to be 39 inches. So 11 inches to 39 inches. And I'm just making a ratio. That's all you're doing, to 39 inches. And the inches are going to cancel. And the ratio is 11 to 39. And remember, this isn't an equation. You can box that up. You can also write this as 11 to 39 like that, or you can even write it as 11 to 39. All of these are equally okay. For this problem here, it says the perimeter of a rectangle is 280 centimeters. So that's basically all the way around the rectangle. So the perimeter is equal to 280. Now, we know that the ratio of width to length is 3 of something and 4 of something. So it's 3 of something and 4 of something. We don't know what it is, but that's my ratio if they're comparing the lengths to the width, but we do know that it's of something. And when you say of something, that's going to be multiplied by x, or any other variable that you like. So in order to find in the length, which is your, actually this says the width to the length. So this is my width to the length here. And so they want to know what the length is. Okay, so anyway, either way, I still have to figure out what, how does the perimeter work out? So what you would do is you would say, well, I know if that's 3x, this side is 3x. If that's 4x, this side is 4x. Because it is a rectangle. Rectangles have opposite sides that are congruent. So for perimeter, we're going to add up all the sides, right? So we have 3x plus 3x. So we have two 3x's. So that's going to be 6x. And we have two 4x's. So that's going to be 8x's. And so 6x plus 8x is 14x. And this is equal to 280. So equal to 280. So what I would do is I'm going to divide by 14 because I do want x, right? So I'm going to divide by 14 on both sides. And 280 divided by 40 is 20. Divided by 14 is 20. So we go x is equal to 20. And so, but that's not my answer, right? Because I got x. Good job. But they want to know what the length is. And they said that the width to the length, so the width is 3 to the length is 4x, right? So that means that I have to plug 20 back in here. So that'll be 4 times 20, which is going to give me 80. So that means that the length is actually 80. And then in this case, it's cm, so it's 80 centimeters. The lengths of the sides of the triangle are in the extended ratio of 3 to 6 to 8. So we're just going to draw a triangle. And remember, when they're talking about ratios, this is another one of these problems where here's the perimeter. So we know that the perimeter equals 510 centimeters. And these are in the sides are in a ratio of 3 to something, 6 to something, 8 to something. So we're going to label those 3 of something, 6 of something, and 8 of something. And these are, sometimes they'll give you angle measurements, and then you just plug these values in. It's still 3x, 6x, and 8x, etc. Okay, so the perimeter is 510. So all you do is add these up. We've got 6x plus 3x. So we have 6x plus 3x plus 8x. And that equals 14, 15, 16, 17 x's. So that means that value here, I have 17 x's, and I'm going to actually put that underneath and not to have any confusion. That means that I've got 17 x's, and that equals 510. And I'm going to divide both sides by 17, and I'm going to get my value for x. So I'm going to go 510. Yes, I'm using my calculator. Divided by 17, and I get 30. So x is equal to 30. Again, x is 30, great, but that's not, you have to always go back and make sure that you're answering the actual question. The question is, what are the lengths of the sides? So I need to take x and I need to plug it back into each one of these values for x, right? So for this one here, this one would be, we're going to have 3 times 30, we're going to have a 6 times 30, and we're going to have an 8 times 30, okay? So that's going to be a 90, 6 times 3 is 18 with a 0, and this is going to be 240. And all of these are centimeters, so we're just going to add that in. Now, just remember, area, of course, is always centimeters squared or some unit measure squared. This is just centimeters because it's talking about perimeter. For this problem here, use the proportion x over z is equal to 6 over 5 to complete the statement. So if I have x over z equal to 6 over 5, they're rewriting that and they're saying x over 6. And so what they did was they took these top two values here and they rewrote the proportion. So x over 6, and so your answer is going to be z over 5. That's your answer, z over 5. Now, just a note, you can write this other ways, right? And one way to actually check to see if you got that right, okay, to see, did I get that right, is to actually cross multiply. So you're going to go 5 times x equals 6 times z. Well, do it this way. Again, cross multiply, you get 5 times x equals 6 times z. So I get the same thing. Now, remember, there were a couple of other ways that we could write this, okay? Also, another way, besides going across, right, x over 6, is to flip it, and you could have written z, I mean, this would be another question, but z over x equals 5 over 6 is also a way to write the same proportion. And again, cross multiply and check. Z times 6z is equal to 5x. Another one that isn't commonly used but is a great test question is when you add these two like this, and it looks like this. Let me use a different color. X plus z over z is equal to 5 plus 6 over 5? This is a great question. And yeah, you can cross multiply and check that as well. But this for sure is definitely a favorite. Measures of two consecutive angles in a parallelogram are in a ratio of 4 to 11. So again, we have a parallelogram that looks like this, okay? Something like that. Hopefully it closes. And again, they're angles, two consecutive means one right after another, are in ratio of 4 to 11. So this is 4 of something and this is 11 of something. But what you need to remember about a parallelogram is not only do they have opposite sides congruent, but opposite angles are congruent. So if that's 4x, so is this. And if this is 11x, so is this. Okay, so now of course they're not talking about perimeter because we are talking about angles. What are the 4 angles of parallelogram? Remember that the sum of the angles in a quadrilateral, any 4-sided shape, is equal to 360 degrees. So we're going to add up all those angles inside. So we're going to say 11x plus 11x plus 4x plus 4x is equal to 360 degrees. So what is that? 22x's plus 8. So that's 30. X's is equal to 360. I'm going to divide both sides by 30, and I'm going to get x is equal to 12. So now we have 12. Again, not the answer because they didn't ask for x. They asked for the measures of the angles. And so we are going to plug in all the angles. Well, actually, we're just going to multiply. 11 times 12 is 132. So we know that we have 132 degrees, 132 degrees. Those are these two here. And then we have 4 times 12, which is 48 degrees, and then a 48 degrees again for the 4. And then, you can always go 48 times 2, we know that's 96. These two are 96. And just to make sure, right, 132 and 132 for these two is 264. And 264 plus 48 is, not 312. I have to add another 48. Almost messed up. Plus 48 is equal to 360. All right, right on. So adding both of these up, we get 360. All right, check. Next question. Determine if the polygons are similar. If so, write a similarity statement. Okay, so these are definitely not similar because these are no. That's a big no. Because for polygons to be similar, the sides are not congruent. The sides are not congruent. What is congruent are the angles. So the angles are congruent, okay? But the sides are not. So we don't even have 4 angles congruent here. So that's a no. For this one, also for 2 polygons to be similar, the sides also have to be proportional. And so let's see. And not just any side, I mean like all the way around. So I'm just going to start with M because that's the smallest letter here. So let's say that MNOP. And our question is this similar? If I start with M here, which looks like a double angle here, this would not be RSTU because, again, they're not, the angles have to match up, right? M has to match up with R. So let's say this side was turned, right? Or even U is turned. This would turn and this would become, for this problem. So for this problem, I'm going to make this instead of R because that's 2 different angles, right? I'm going to start with S. So let's say I make this similar to S, T, U, and then R. If that was the case, then number 1, the angles would have to match up. Number 2, my sides would have to be proportional. So what I see is S has the 2 slashes over here and here, which means that the angles are the same. The T matches up with the second letter here, N, meaning they both have the 1 congruent slash. So those match up. Now we just have to make sure that the actual sides are proportional. So meaning I'm going to go 3 is to 4.5. So 3 is to 4.5 as, let's see, actually 3 is to 4.5 this one, right? Because that's ST and that's MN. And then we're going to go, let's pick something else because they have to equal, right? But I do notice that they're all the same length. So that we would go, this 3 is to that 4.5 as 3 is to 4.5, and then they are equal all the way around. Now, in order to find the scale factor, it's just 3 to 4.5. And so you can use your calculator to divide 3 to 4.5, and I get a 0.66. However, I'm going to change that into a fraction, and that becomes 2/3 on my calculator. That's my scale factor. However, if you don't have a calculator and you want to do this by hand, you're going to go 3 is to 4.5 is 4 1/2, which is 8 plus 1 is 9. So that's 9 halves. So what you're doing is you're saying 3 divided by 9 halves, which is 3 times 2/9. 3 is going to cancel with this 3 that's in this 9, and that'll be 3 here, and this will be a 1. And so the scale factor would just be 2/3. Okay, so yes, you can use your calculator, or yes, you can use your brain. Okay, so this similarity statement worked, and scale factor was 2/3. For this problem here, if these are similar, it does look like these are 2 right angles here and here. If they are similar, I would say KLMN is similar to starting K going up L, starting E going up F, E, F, G, and then H. But the only way to find out if these are similar is if they have a scale factor that matches all the way around. It has to match every side. It has to be proportional. So 6.4 to 9.6. So 6.4 over 9.6 should equal 6/9. So 6/9. So I'm going to cross multiply, because it does look like if this is true, my scale factor would be 6/9. But be careful. I'm going to divide by 3. I'm going to get 2/3 again as my scale factor. But you have to be careful because it has to be the scale factor all the way around. So let's see what happens here when I cross multiply and I go 9 times 6.4. Does that equal 6 times 9.6? And let's do that. So 9 times 6.4, I get 57.6. And then 6 times 9.6, also 57.6. So, that does work. However, let's try this again. 6, let's go 6 is to 9, or 2/3. 2 is to 3 as 3 is to 3. So if I cross multiply, right, I'm going 6 is to 9 as 3 is to 3. That would be 2 times 3 is 6 equals 9. That doesn't equal. We're out. Also, the same value. So you can't have the same value here and here. Okay, for something to be proportional and similar, the sides have to be proportional. So for the sides to be proportional, they have to be not just picking and choosing which ones are proportional. It has to be all the way around. For this one here, Hannah makes a scale drawing of a tree using 5 inches is equal to 27 feet. If the tree is, so we've got 5 inches is equal to 27 feet. And so what they're saying is that the tree is 67.5 feet. How tall is the scale drawing? So for this problem here, what I suggest that you do is change all the feet to inches. I mean, one way to do that, I'm going to try to do this 2 different ways, but if I said 27 feet, and I'm going to change everything to inches real quick. So that's going to be inches x. 27 times 12 is 324 inches over 67.5 times 12 inches is, because that's 12 inches per foot, is 810 inches. And then reducing 324 over 18, I do get 2/5. And so I did a little calculator work on the side. Everything's in inches now. I'm going to cross multiply. I get 2x is equal to 25. I get x equals 25 over 2, which is equal to 12.5, okay? Which is my answer. So that would be the scale. How tall is the scale drawing? So it's 12.5 inches, because we're all in inches now. But when I cross multiply 67.5 times 5, because my inches, my feet divided by feet ended up canceling out, right? So realistically, even though I'm multiplying by 12 here and by 12 here, ultimately I'm reducing by 12 later on anyways. So that really didn't do anything for us. Because our feet, our measurements for this scale canceled, I just multiplied 5 times 67.5 and divided by 20 and divided by 27, and also got 12.5 inches. So both ways equally okay. For this one right here, it tells me that for RHY, so we've got R, I'm going to go right H, left Y, 2, and then make this slightly bigger because I see my scale factor is 3 to 13. And this will be A and then L, E. Make sure you line those up evenly. When you're doing that, okay, they're asking you for the scale factor of ALE to RHY. So you're just backing that up. So that's now 13 to 3. You have to do it in the order that they give you. And you be careful, because sometimes they'll give you the smaller triangle first, but realistically you're looking for the, you want the larger triangle, to go first. For this one, we have triangle LUC. Again, LUC, and tribute to Luke and Sarah, SRA, is 5 to 6. So what's the ratio of the perimeters? Now, this is interesting because we know that we're only given one side, right? So we have this side and we have this side. We definitely don't have another side to compare to as far as to make a proportion. But what we do know is this, that the scale factor, whatever that value is, let's say it's A over B, right? The scale factor, which is A over B, is equal to the ratio of perimeters, which is also A over B. And then the ratio of areas is A over B, quantity squared. So that's A squared over B squared. And so if I asked you for the scale factor, it's 5 to 6. Well, they gave me the scale factor, it's 5 to 6. But the ratio of perimeter is exactly the same. That's also 5 over 6, okay? But just fun fact, if I asked you for the ratio of areas, that would be 5 over 6 quantity squared, which is 25 over 36. And so that would be that value. Okay. For this problem, the scale factor of a triangle west to triangle Zach is 1 to 3. Here we go. What's the ratio of areas? So we have WES to ratio of areas, which would be ZAC. Make sure you keep those in line, and you don't go Z left A, okay? Is 1 to 3. So what's the ratio of areas? So again, the scale factor, we've got the scale factor, we've got the ratio of perimeters, and we've got the ratio of areas that you should all know. Area. So the scale factor is going to be 1 to 3. They gave us that. My ratio of perimeters is 1 to 3, and the ratio of areas is 1 over 3 quantity squared, which gives me 1/3 times 1/3, which is 1/9. So the ratio of area is 1/9. Now, just note, if you want to work backwards, let's say I gave you the ratio of areas. I said, different problem. I said, hey, the ratio of areas is 25 to 36. What's the scale factor, or what's the ratio of perimeter? All you would do is square root both sides, right? Square root top and bottom. So the square root of 25 over the square root of 36 is 5 over 6. So my scale factor and my ratio of perimeter are both 5 to 6. For this problem here, This statement right here tells me, number one, that the two triangles are similar. Number two, it tells me the order that they're similar. So we've got L, G, N. So see how this goes, L, then G next. So then left and then right, which means I'm actually not even going to look at this right now. I'm going to cross that out just for a second, because when I make my second triangle, it has to follow the same way, the same pattern, okay? So if this goes L, then G, then N, like this is going to go W, left, Y, right, T. All right, that's what you have to know. And so when you're doing that now, right, now that we do that, we know all of our angles line up, and we know that YT is this value. We already, I mean, you know, that's flat. We know that. But WT is here, and that's going to be 23.5. So you just have to make sure, because when I'm creating my, scale factor, which is 9 to 22.5, by the way, and setting that equal to this side is to this side, I've got x plus 4.4 over 23.5. And so I'm going to cross multiply is what I'm going to do, but I'm going to see one question I'm definitely going to ask you on your test is, what's the scale factor? And you need to be able to divide 9 divided by 20. Whoops. You need to divide, and then I don't divide. 9 divided by 22.5 is 0.4, which is 4/10, right? And 4/10 is actually 2/5. So my scale factor is 2/5. So realistically, instead of using this, I'm going to use 2/5, because that's what that is, the scale factor comparing left side to right side. Okay. And that equals x plus 4.4 over 23.5. So I'm going to cross multiply. 23.5 times 2 is 47. And that equals 5 times this quantity, which is x plus 4.4. So 47 equals, distribute, 5x plus, and then 4.4 times 5 is 22. I'm going to subtract 47 minus 22. I get 25 is equal to 5x, and I get x is equal to 5. It's an equation. Box that up. Or not box it up. Put in solution sets, but then make sure you're answering the question. The question is, what's the value of x? Check. We did that. Moving on. So this problem here says, determine if the triangles are similar. If they are, we need to write a similarity statement and also give the scale factor. So I'm just going to start, and I'm going to use ABC. So I'm going to say triangle ABC is similar to triangle. Let's see. Starting with A top, I have to rewrite this. So I'm going to redraw my bigger triangle up here, or down there. X would be top. And so that would be X. And then what'd they do? They went A not right angle B. So I'm going to go X not right angle Y. So X, Y, and then Z. So if they are similar, this is what it would look like. That would be Z. This would be Y. X, Z would be 45. X, Y would be 50.25. And so now I'm not looking at this, except I missed a side. Hold on. 22.5. Okay. And this would be 22.5. And because I'm not looking at that, because I redrew this and I want to make sure everything lines up, because if I have similar triangles, not only are the angles congruent, which they are, see that, the X here, and remember, this is angle similarity if they are similar, right? Because they have angle. Two angles mean the third angle is congruent. And so let's just look and see if the sides are proportional. Because they are similar, the sides also have to be proportional. So let's check. 30 is to 45 as, let's try 33.5 is to 50.25. So we're going to cross multiply. Let me use my calculator. 30 times 50.25 is equal to 1507.5. and that equals 45 times 33.5, 1507 again. But remember, so far so good. You have to check all the way around. So now we're going to double check another side, and we're going to go, well, my skill factor, I'm just going to use that, 30 to 45, right? I'm going to divide by 5. So if I have my skill factor is 30 to 45, reduce that because we don't want it not reduced. Divide by 5, I get 6 over 9. Oh, I should have divided by 15. Silly. Okay, let me do that again. Dividing by 15 instead, I'm going to get 2 over 3. So my skill factor is 2/3. So I would go 30 is to 45, so 2 is to 3 as 15 is to 22.5. Cross multiply 2 times 22.5 is 45. Yes. And that equals 45. Check. And I believe I went, did I do all the way around? I went, this is equal, 2/3 is equal to both sides. So we're good. So yes, they're similar. So you would write your similarity statement, which we did, and you would need the skill factor, which is 2 to 3. And just a note, right? Ratio of perimeter, 2/3. Ratio of area, 4/9, if they ask that. So good luck on your exit ticket. Keep up the excellent work. I have to say, I'm really proud of all of you. You've really come a long way. I always suggest work ahead. You watch the video tutorial before class and then review it with me during class while I'm teaching it. Start studying for your Chapter 3 test. This is next week, and have an excellent day. Thanks for watching.